Hi, this week I wrote about poplar. Here in the temperate zone, which is where I live in Ohio, our poplar, our main poplar that we use for medicine, is cottonwood. I'm a little under the weather right now. My kids gave me their spring transition cold. And so this is actually really timely to talk about poplar right now. It is a great time to get out and harvest your poplar. I would have you guys outside today, but there's not really much to see on the poplar tree because it hasn't budded out, and we don't have leaves on it yet. However, I brought this stick in to show you exactly what we're going to take off of this. Now, you can just see in this shot, you see that little bubble right there? That little bubble, let's see if I can put something behind it so you can see. That little bubble right there is a little bit of resin that's coming out, and the bud is kind of collapsing under my finger as I'm squeezing it. These buds are just starting to come to the point that I would love to make medicine out of them. The truth is that we can cut off these buds, and what you're going to use for medicine is just everything from this bud up. So this whole thing is going to go, I'm going to cut right here, and I'll have all of that in my medicine. You can really cut these buds anytime. You can do this in the winter. You don't have to wait for them to start to be actively pushing out their resin. But right now is a great time because it feels really tacky. You can feel those buds be tacky and sticky, and you can actually see what you're going to be harvesting. That tackiness is actually what the bees are collecting to make propolis. And here in Ohio, one of the main things that bees are collecting to make propolis, and propolis is it's bee glue. It is what they glue all of their hives together. They use it as insulation. They use it, it's really gummy in the summer. When you open up the hive top, it's just like chewing gum, stretching. In the winter, it gets super hard because it's made from the resin of poplars and also pine, primarily. We know that propolis has all of these great qualities, and and one of the things that people really love to use it for is a sore throat. Right now, I have a little bit of sinus drainage, so that would be a welcome remedy. The problem with propolis is that to farm it is not appropriate. It's not a sustainable thing for the bees. To take propolis out of the hive incidentally as a beekeeper that's cleaning off the tops of their hives as they're opening up hive bodies is one thing, and most beekeepers will have enough to sell quite a few customers a tincture or a spray. But to farm it is actually going to insist, it leaves the beehive open constantly, and there's a tray that we're asking the bees to fill. They naturally will fill something with openings underneath an open hive body because the propolis is actually their immune system. It is what they use to block the wind, and it also is what they use to keep infection out, fungus and virus and bacteria. And so the propolis is a barrier that actually traps those invaders and stops them and disinfects them. It is highly antiviral, antiseptic. Topically, it is an amazing wound preparation. But again, to put in a tray at the top of a hive that's been propped open stresses the bees. They're going to spend all their time filling out that tray, and then the beekeeper would come along and take that, freeze it, smash it off, put the tray back in, and keep those bees constantly exposed. It is tantamount to making an autoimmune condition within the hive. So what to do? That's a really great substance that we wish we could have access to. Again, small amounts. You should see it on a beekeeper's table for what it is. It's a very limited quantity commodity, and it should be priced higher, and it should be limited. You try and get it while you can. You'll see it most times in the fall. You'll see a beekeeper has collected all of their propolis and is selling it, but you may see it throughout. I do have a propolis tincture that I made, and the propolis is at the bottom, and this has alcohol. So if I tip this, you can kind of see this clunky, chunky substance. This tincture, this amount of tincture is going to keep my family in quite a while. If you aren't a beekeeper though, and you don't want to contribute to an unsustainable situation with our bees, the poplar is the way to go. At the end of this video, I'm going to share 2 little recipes and how you can use them. One is for laryngitis and bronchitis, and that is this formula right here. This is an old tincture. I'm trying to figure out where the camera is. You can see the little buds in there, and I have covered it by about 1 inch of alcohol. This is a resinous plant, so you are going to need at least a 100 proof alcohol to be able to do this properly. So you're going to cover it with some alcohol. You're going to collect these buds now, and you're going to let it steep for at least 4 to 6 weeks before you use it. You might goose it up, add a little bit more to it, maybe go out. Right now, the resin is, the sap is running in the pine trees. There are a lot of pine cones out there with sap running down the side. You could go and collect those without damaging the tree or cutting into the bark. And you can add that sap along with your propolis buds, and that will make even more like propolis. It'll do the same exact thing that propolis might do for you, but it is, there's no reason to tax the bees for it. And most people would consider a cottonwood to be a trash tree around where I am. So it really doesn't hurt any to trim some limbs off. Usually we've got these limbs that are extra hanging over our driveway or into the side of our house, and we can trim them off and then go and clip all these little buds. You can pretty quickly fill one of these little jelly jars with buds without too much trimming at all. And something like this, even this much, would keep a family of 4 for most of cold and flu season. So you don't have to make a ton of this. The other application is topically for eczema and psoriasis, to put it into an oil. Poplar has a lot for us. I hope you got a chance to read my blog this past week on all the things that the poplar family has for us, including even using the leaves, which I will talk about later on as we get into the season, and I have leaves available. But I really wanted to talk about this plant now while you can get these buds kind of at their peak. So I hope you run out and find yourself a poplar. They have these really beautiful, distinctive buds. This is the tree that's going to dump all that cotton all over. So you may know exactly where these trees are right now. If you don't have a way of identifying, let me know. I can send you a picture of bark, and that might help you to identify. But these buds are pretty pointy and distinctive, yellowish almost. And if you squeeze them, you should start to see right now a little bit of that resiny sap squeeze out. So if you have any questions, as always, let me know, and I will see you at our next installment of Weedy Wednesdays.